What happens when the owner of a high-end nightclub puts on a wig, steps behind the bar, and finds out the people running his business have been lying straight to his face? Victor, Faulkner had inherited the chain of upscale nightclubs from his father 5 years ago. 9 locations across 3 states, all under the same sleek black and gold brand. When his father passed, Victor was only 27, fresh out of business school and completely unprepared to run a company. But he learned as fast as he could. He spent the first 3 years working directly with district managers, cleaning up poor management, and rebuilding the places from the inside out. But once they were running smooth, he stepped back. Now 32, he spent his days buried in spreadsheets and quarterly reports. And lately, something was off. The revenue at the Chicago club, one of their busiest, had dipped for 3 months straight. Not a lot, but enough to bother him. Customer reviews were mixed. Some praised the drinks and vibe, others complained about long wait times, rude service, and a weird vibe. He brought it up to the district manager, who blamed staff turnover and the usual nightlife drama. But Victor didn't like vague answers, so he came up with a plan. He'd go undercover for a week as a new barback at the Chicago location. He'd done it before twice, actually, but never at this location. And he'd never worked behind the bar. His disguise was solid. Dark brown wig, trimmed beard, fake nose ring, and a fresh set of tattoos airbrushed on his arms. He wore all black like the rest of the staff and used the name Derek. None of the Chicago staff had ever met him. The general manager, a guy named Sean, had only been hired about 6 months ago. Victor had only spoken to him once on a Zoom call. No one knew what he actually looked like. "Derek, right?" a tall woman asked when he walked in through the employee entrance. She was wearing a black tank top and ripped black jeans, her brown hair pulled into a bun. "New barback, I'm Maddie." "Yeah," Victor nodded, keeping his voice lower than usual. "Just moved here. Got bartending experience, but happy to start wherever." "Cool, you'll be shadowing me tonight. You bartend before." A little, he lied. Truth was, he'd never actually worked a shift in his life. He'd observed plenty, but doing it was another story. Behind the bar, the music thumped through the floor. The place was sleek mirrors, LED lights, gold accents everywhere. Packed by 9. Maddie moved like lightning, pouring, mixing, smiling at customers. Victor did his best to keep up, grabbing ice, restocking bottles, wiping counters, running tabs. He noticed things immediately. The bar was understaffed. Maddie and one other bartender, Travis, were covering the entire floor, and they were drowning. "Where's the third?" Victor asked, wiping down the bar while Maddie poured shots. Called out, "Again, happens a lot," she said without looking up. "We're not allowed to replace them unless Sean approves it. He never does." Victor frowned. "Why not?" She gave a tight laugh. "Saves money, I guess." At closing, after the last customer left and the music shut off, Maddie sighed and leaned against the bar. It was past 3 in the morning. She looked exhausted. "All right," she muttered. "Time for the real work." "What do you mean, deep clean?" she said. "Fridge, shelves, floors, we do it every night." Victor looked around. "Wait, isn't that the cleaning crew's job?" "Not anymore. Sean cut them 2 months ago. Said we could handle it. Said we're already here anyway, so it's not a big deal." Victor blinked. "You get paid for it, though, overtime, right?" Maddie gave him a long look. "You really are new." She didn't say more, just grabbed a mop and handed him another. They scrubbed for almost an hour. When they finished, she stretched her arms and winced. "All right, I'm out. See you tomorrow, Derek." He nodded, but his mind was racing. The next night, things got worse. Victor came in early, hoping to talk to Maddie before the club opened. Instead, he found her in the break room, arguing with Sean. "I'm not doing it again," she said, her voice sharp. "That's 3 nights in a row." "You want your hours cut," Sean snapped, "because they will be. You're lucky I kept you after that mess with the bachelor party last week." "I didn't even work that night." Sean stepped closer. "Then maybe you should learn to be a team player." Victor stood just inside the hallway, heart pounding. He waited until Sean stomped off, then stepped into the break room. "You good?" he asked. Maddie nodded, but her hands were shaking. "He makes us clock out before the cleaning. Says it's not our job, it's just what dedicated staff do. But if we don't do it, he cuts our shifts." The others are scared to speak up. Victor clenched his jaw. "That's illegal." She gave a tired smile. "Welcome to the club. Later that night, he got his first real chance to talk to the others. One of the waitresses, a quiet girl named Naomi, opened up while they were restocking the cooler. "He makes us stay after close, clocked out," she said. "Maddie's the only one who pushes back, the rest of us. We can't afford to lose hours." Victor asked, "Do the district supervisors know?" "No," she said. "Sean tells them everything's fine. He even fakes the time sheet, says we all leave right after closing." Victor's stomach turned. He didn't sleep that night. The next morning, he sat in his rental car outside the club watching staff trickle in. His hands shook as he held his phone. He wanted to fire Sean on the spot, but if he did, none of the workers would understand why. And Sean would spin it. He needed proof. He needed one more night, and then it would all come down. Victor arrived an hour before opening, wearing the same clothes from the night before, bags under his eyes and a dull ache in his lower back. He hadn't told anyone he was coming early. He just needed to see what went on when no one thought they were being watched. Inside, the bar lights were still dimmed and the air smelled like bleach and old citrus. He walked through the narrow prep hallway and found Travis and Naomi in the storage room, restocking bottles in silence. Neither looked up when he stepped in. "You two always get here this early?" he asked, keeping his tone casual. Naomi wiped dust off a vodka bottle. Sean switched the delivery schedule. "Shipments come earlier now, so someone's got to be here to sign for them." "Wait, you're clocked in already then?" Travis gave a short laugh, the first sound he'd made. "Not until 5. That's when the system lets us punch in." Victor stared at the clipboard in Naomi's hands. "But it's barely 4. Naomi just shrugged and kept sorting. Victor walked out, muttering something about needing to grab gloves. He didn't go back to the bar. Instead, he headed toward the small upstairs office tucked behind a locked metal door. Sean wasn't in yet, but Victor had scoped the building layout the day before and knew where the key would be. He found it under a stack of menus behind the host stand. The office was cramped and overheated, with a single overhead bulb casting a yellowish glow over a cluttered desk. A computer monitor still showed the login screen. The drawers weren't locked. Victor opened the bottom one and flipped through the files until he found a folder labeled Payroll Confirmations. He scanned the sheets. All of them showed clean time stamps. No one clocked in before their shift. No one stayed past 3. It was too neat. He took photos of every page and texted them to his assistant, Lauren, along with one line. "Compare with security footage logs." Then he relocked the door, put the key back, and headed downstairs as voices echoed from the staff hallway. Sean had arrived. "Bar's low on mezcal," Sean said as he walked past Victor. He wore a navy button-up and looked freshly showered. "Make sure someone runs to the distributor before 8. Maddie's coming in late tonight, so you're shadowing Travis." Victor nodded and followed as Sean walked through the main floor, pointing out things he didn't like. A light bulb out near the DJ booth. A scuff on the stair railing. A stain on one of the booths. "Clean that before doors open," Sean said. "Use the emergency kit in the back, don't care how." When Victor returned to the bar, Travis was filling a sink with sanitizer. "Does he always point at stuff like that?" Victor asked, grabbing a towel. Travis didn't look up. "Depends on his mood. If he's already mad, it's worse. If we run out of anything mid-shift, he says it's our fault for not prepping better, even if we tell him we're short on inventory." Victor leaned against the counter. "So why not just order more?" Travis gave a short shake of his head. "He controls the order list. Same for staff scheduling. He approves every shift. Tried to request an extra bar back last Saturday. He canceled it. Said we were over budget." As the night picked up, Victor started to feel the weight of the chaos. The club filled faster than it had the previous night. A line wrapped around the block by 10, and there were still only 2 bartenders. Travis was barely keeping up. By midnight, he was hoarse from shouting orders over the music. Victor ran drinks nonstop, sweating through his shirt, hauling cases of beer from the walk-in and sprinting back to the bar like his legs were on fire. At one point, a customer slammed a glass down, shouting that her drink tasted wrong. Victor saw Travis handling it, apologizing, offering a replacement. But when she walked away, Travis leaned over and whispered, "We're using bottom-shelf vodka in premium pours. Sean says it's cost control." Victor froze. That's fraud. Travis nodded once, eyes scanning the crowd. Try telling him that. At 2:30, Sean appeared behind the bar for the first time that night. He wasn't helping, just watching. We're out of mint, Victor said, wiping his forehead. Then cut mojitos off the menu, Sean snapped. You should have stocked better. We had 6 bundles when we opened. Sean glanced at the trash can. Then maybe you're using too much, be precise. Victor looked at Travis, who avoided his eyes. After last call, the music faded and the lights came up. People filtered out slowly. A couple lingered near the booths until security nudged them toward the exit. Victor moved to start cleaning, but Sean stopped him. Clock out before you mop, he said. Budget's tight. We're not paying for extra hands that don't bring in revenue. Victor turned, heart pounding. But we're still working. Sean narrowed his eyes. You want to keep this job or not? Victor stared at him. Right, got it. He walked to the back hallway, pulled his phone from his back pocket, and snapped a photo of the time clock screen before punching out. Then he slipped it away and joined Travis, who was already dragging mops from the closet. They cleaned for nearly an hour. No one spoke. Victor's arms ached from scrubbing the bar mats. His shirt was soaked through. Naomi passed him once, carrying a stack of wet bar towels to the laundry bin. Her jaw was tight and her eyes didn't meet his. At 4, Sean left. Didn't say goodbye. The mood shifted the moment the door clicked shut. Naomi leaned against the wall and exhaled. He's worse lately. Think he knows corporate's not watching. Victor nodded slowly. You ever tried reporting it? She looked away. Where? HR. They're in another state. They don't know what it's like here. Travis tossed his rag into the bin. One of the bouncers quit last month. Tried to tell the district manager before he left. Nothing changed. Sean told everyone he was unstable. Victor sat down on a crate. If someone actually listened, what would you want to change? Naomi didn't hesitate. Fair hours, honest pay, a third bartender on weekends, Travis added, and stop cutting corners. If we're charging people $20 a drink, they deserve what's on the menu. The words hit Victor harder than he expected. When he got back to his apartment, the sun was already up. He dropped onto the couch and didn't move for 10 minutes. He checked his phone. There was already a message from Lauren. Got the camera logs. Time sheets don't match. We've got proof. He stared at the screen, then he typed out a reply. Tell HR I'm flying in tomorrow. Set up a call with legal. Sean's done. He paused, then added, and make sure none of the staff get blamed. They're not the problem. Victor arrived at the club just before 5 in the evening, no longer dressed as Derek. He wore a charcoal gray blazer, dark slacks, and a black button-down shirt. His real face was clean-shaven, his hair back to its natural sandy blonde. No fake piercings, no tattoos. As he stepped through the employee entrance, the music system was still off, and the air was filled with the distant hum of freezers and the dull clatter of prep work from the kitchen. Only one person was in the staff hallway, Naomi, unpacking bar napkins from a delivery box. She glanced up, confused for a moment. Her eyes lingered on his face, recognition flickering along her brow. You're not Derek, she said quietly. No, Victor replied. My name's Victor Faulkner. I own this club and the 8 others. Her hands froze. She looked like she didn't know if she should drop the box or back away. I didn't mean to lie to you, he said, keeping his voice calm. I needed to see what was really happening here, not what I was being told. Naomi didn't respond. She just stared at him, her face unreadable. I'm not here to hurt anyone, he added, but I am here to fix this. He walked past her toward the main floor. The bar was still half lit, bottles lined up neatly under the soft glow of the shelf lights. A single mop leaned against the corner wall, a bucket beside it still full. Sean wasn't in yet, but Victor had timed it that way. He needed everyone else to see him first. Travis came in from the back, dragging a case of mixers. He froze when he saw Victor standing behind the bar. What the hell? He muttered. Victor raised a hand. Don't panic. I know this is a shock, but I need you and the rest of the team to meet me out front in 10 minutes. No one's in trouble. I just need everyone in one place before Sean arrives. Travis looked like he wanted to ask 100 questions, but said nothing. He dropped the case near the fridge and walked off. Victor moved through the club, checking every corner as if seeing it for the first time. The place was immaculate on the surface, gold-trimmed booths polished, LED light strips glowing clean white, bar stools lined with precision. But now he understood what it cost to make it look that way. By the time he reached the front entrance, Maddie had arrived. She stood near the host stand, hair down now, wearing a plain black tee instead of the tank top. She looked at him for a long time without speaking. "You're the owner," she said finally. "I am. You pretended to be a barback. I had to see it all myself. I owe you an apology for the way I went about it." Maddie didn't respond right away, then she crossed her arms. "You owe us more than that, I know." The rest of the staff had gathered by then 8 people in total, a couple of barbacks, 2 waitresses, the DJ, and one of the security guards. They stood in an uneasy half-circle near the front lounge, some leaning on tables, others with arms folded tight across their chests. Victor stepped forward. "I'm not going to waste your time," he said. "I've seen enough. I have confirmation that hours have been altered, staff forced to work off the clock, and that inventory is being manipulated to cut costs at the customer's expense. I saw it myself, and it ends now." No one spoke, but their eyes were locked on him. "I've already contacted HR and our legal team. Sean is being terminated immediately. He won't be setting foot in this building again after tonight." The front door opened right on cue. Sean stepped inside, briefcase in hand. He stopped when he saw the group gathered. His expression shifted fast. "What's going on?" he asked. Victor turned. "Sean, I'm Victor Faulkner, owner." He held up a folder. "I've reviewed the security logs, payroll records, and direct staff accounts. You've falsified timesheets, retaliated against employees, and created a toxic environment that directly violates labor law and company policy." Sean's face went pale. "Wait, hold on. This is a misunderstanding. I've seen the footage. I've worked the shifts. I've spoken to everyone here." "You're done." Sean looked around, but no one came to his defense. His voice dropped. You'll be escorted out in 5 minutes. HR will follow up with a formal termination letter and legal notice. If you attempt to contact any current employee, you'll be in violation of corporate policy and state labor law." Sean opened his mouth again, but no sound came out. His eyes locked on Maddie's for a split second. Then he turned and walked out through the same door he came in. Victor waited 10 full seconds before speaking. "Starting tonight, you're getting paid for every minute you're here. No more off-the-clock work. You'll clean only what's in your job description, and you'll never be punished for asking for help." Maddie stepped forward. "What about staffing?" "We're still stretched thin. I've already approved 2 new barback positions and an additional bartender for weekends. They'll be posted by Monday. Until they're filled, we'll bring in trained floaters from our other locations." Travis cleared his throat. "What about inventory?" "We've been pouring bottom shelf into top shelf bottles for weeks." Victor nodded. "That inventory scheme has been used in 2 other clubs before. When I found out, I shut it down. That's happening here too. Starting tonight, every bottle on the shelf will match the label. And if it doesn't, I want to hear about it from you directly." Naomi stepped forward. "How do we know this won't happen again? What if the next manager does the same thing?" "I'm restructuring oversight," Victor said. "From now on, every club will have a staff liaison. Someone who's not in management, who reports directly to me or Lauren, my assistant. I'll rotate visits between locations every month without warning. You'll see me, not just on paper." The group was quiet, not hostile anymore, just processing. Victor looked around. "I know I can't fix everything overnight, and I know trust isn't something I can ask for, it's something I have to earn, but I'm here now, and I'm staying involved." Maddie's voice cut through the silence. "You should have been here sooner," he nodded. "You're right." She didn't say anything else. But she didn't walk away either. Victor tapped his phone and stepped aside to call Lauren. She answered on the second ring. "Sean's out," he said. "Understood. Post the corrections to payroll for the last 6 weeks. Everyone gets back pay for every off-the-clock minute, with bonus. I want it in their accounts by Friday. Already processing." He ended the call and turned back to the group. "We open in less than an hour. If anyone needs the night off, I'll cover the shift myself. No questions asked." No one moved. Then Travis stepped behind the bar, flicked on the shelf lights, and started lining up glassware. "I'm good," he said. "Let's go." Naomi turned toward the sound booth. The DJ followed her. Victor moved toward the bar, rolled up his sleeves, and grabbed an apron from the hook. Maddie tossed him a bar towel. "You're on garnish duty," she said. "Don't screw it up." He gave her a quick nod, then got to work. Victor stayed behind the bar for the next 5 nights, no disguise, no title. Just sleeves rolled back, towel over his shoulder, and hands moving bottle to bottle, pouring drinks beside the same people who days ago had barely trusted him enough to speak freely. The first few shifts were tense. Staff kept their distance. Orders were short, eye contact brief. Maddie worked with a kind of cold precision, never rude but never warm either. Travis only spoke when necessary, and Naomi treated him like a landlord who had suddenly decided to mop his own floor, an odd disruption to a space that wasn't built for him. Victor didn't push. He showed up early, stayed late, and did every task no one else wanted: cleaning out the syrup traps, replacing cracked well bottles, hauling broken crates down to the dumpster through the side alley that always smelled like stale beer and engine oil. He didn't try to prove anything. He just worked. By the third night, Naomi offered him half her sandwich during break. On the fourth, Travis tapped him on the shoulder when a customer tried to skip out on a tab and let him follow as security walked the man out. And on the fifth, Maddie finally spoke to him in a tone that didn't sound like she was waiting for him to mess something up. "You're not terrible at this," she said while slicing limes. "Still slow, but at least you know how to stay out of the way." Victor nodded once. "I'll take it." She moved the cutting board toward him. "Your turn." He took the knife and started cutting. After a moment, she leaned on the counter. "You really going to do this at every location?" He didn't look up. "Not like this, no more disguises, but I'll be there, quietly, watching." "Listening?" She studied him for a second. "You trust your district managers." "I will, once I rebuild the team." He finished slicing and handed her the board. "Not everyone's staying." On Saturday night, the new bartender arrived. Her name was Janelle. Mid-30s, fast hands, even faster with names. She transferred from the Miami location, where she'd worked under a general manager Victor trusted. Maddie showed her the setup without hesitation. Victor caught the way Naomi smiled when Janelle made a joke about the garnish fridge being haunted. Later in the back hallway, Travis leaned on the wall beside Victor while they waited for the next restock delivery. "She's good," he said. "Where'd you find her?" She volunteered, Victor replied. "Said she heard Chicago was a mess and wanted to help clean it up." Travis let out a quiet laugh. "That's one way to put it." Victor turned toward him. "You ever think about stepping up?" Travis raised an eyebrow. "To what?" "Assistant bar lead. Maddie needs someone she can count on when she's off. You've got the hours and everyone here respects you." Travis hesitated. "I don't know. I've seen what happens to people who get too close to management. You'd still be behind the bar, just with more say, more control over how things run." Travis didn't answer right away, then he gave a slow nod. "If Maddie's cool with it, I'll try." "She already is," Victor said. That night, for the first time since he'd arrived, Victor stood at the bar and didn't feel like an intruder. The rhythm was smoother. Orders flowed cleaner. Janelle handled the late rush like she'd been there for years. At one point, a couple complimented Naomi on her timing and tipped her with a folded 20 that she tucked into her apron with a small nod. As the crowd thinned and the night wound toward close, Victor stepped away from the bar and made his way upstairs to the office. He unlocked the door and sat behind the desk that had once belonged to Sean. The walls were bare now. The air was cooler. The drawer where Sean had kept the falsified time sheets was empty. Victor opened his laptop and pulled up the payroll dashboard. Every employee was now on a scheduled audit cycle. Every shift was double-logged punch-in, punch-out, and verified by security timestamp. He'd added a direct feedback channel that came to his phone, bypassing regional leadership entirely. It hadn't been used yet, but he knew it would be. Sooner or later, someone would test whether his promise to listen was more than just words. He closed the laptop and walked back downstairs. The last customer left at 2:45. Maddie flipped the bar lights to cleanup mode, and the team began their routine wiping, sweeping, storing. But no one reached for the mop bucket. No one clocked out early. Victor joined them, grabbing a towel and wiping down the back shelf. "Feels different," Maddie said quietly beside him. He nodded. "It should. You going back to the other clubs soon, in a few days?" He paused. "But I'll be back. You'll see me, not just for show." She leaned on the counter. You think they'll listen at the other locations? They will, he said. Same way you did, slowly, after they see it's real. She gave a small nod. We'll hold you to that. I want you to. By 4:15, the place was spotless. The staff filtered out in pairs, waving quietly, pulling on jackets and hoodies as they stepped into the cold early morning air. Victor stayed behind, locking up the bar one last time. Outside, the street was still. The alley was empty except for a few scattered flyers and the distant rumble of a garbage truck turning the corner. He walked to his rental car and sat behind the wheel for a moment, hands resting on the steering wheel. He didn't feel victorious. He felt grounded. The club hadn't transformed overnight. The staff were still tired, the hours were still long, but they were being paid fairly, they had reinforcements. They were being heard, that was the job, not fixing everything in a week. Just showing up, staying long enough to see the cracks, and being willing to get in there and patch what you could honestly, quietly, with the same hands you'd expect from anyone else. He started the engine and pulled away from the curb, headlights cutting through the still dark street. There were 8 more locations to visit, each with its own version of what had gone wrong. But now he knew how to start, not with a title, not with a clipboard, with a towel, a drink ticket, a quiet ear, and the decision to stay until the work was done.